Renault 6. Hello, Vince here from the cars section of the Vince Unlimited YouTube channel. But at first, this tale starts with a couple of push bikes. It was 1983 and a year since I met Linda. The racing bikes didn't last long, but if you saw my previous racing bikes YouTube video, you'll already know this. All this explains why we needed another form of transport. And helpfully, Linda's auntie, Ethel, came to our assistance. Her recently deceased husband, Ern, for years owned an upmarket little Austin 1100, which was branded a Wolseley and painted in a two-tone paint job, but due to its age had to be replaced with a nearly new Renault 6, which he himself had had for less than a year. Ethel didn't drive, so kindly said we could have the car. We offered to buy it, but she was adamant that she wouldn't charge us, so we agreed to give her any money we got for it, if we sold it. The Renault 6 was originally launched in 1968, but the one we had been given was a facelift R-plated model, the version with square headlamps. The registration plate dates it from around 1976 or 1977, but the black grille it sported suggests a 1978 minor facelift model, making it around 5 years old when we got it. Ern had not put many miles on it and kept it very clean, so it was in as good a condition as you could have wanted. Not that the clean condition had any bearing on the perception this car made. Today, some may determine it as a classic and feel tinges of affection if they saw one rollicking along on the streets. However, for us at the time, it was just seen as dated, both in styling and power output, and was not a remarkable car at all. It sported an unusual dash-mounted manual gear selector which felt like you were stirring pudding rather than selecting a gear. And our version had the exciting option configuration of a slipping clutch. The car was, however, extremely comfortable to sit in. The bouncy front seats were able to be extra wide because of the front-wheel drive and subsequent lack of a central transmission tunnel, aided by the column-mounted gear selector. This gave the impression of a front bench seat which, coupled with the typical French soft-sprung suspension, felt so cosseted. The downside of such a plush ride was massive lean during hard cornering. In fact, a useful option Renault could have offered would be casters on the door handles. Furthermore, the high-profile skinny tyres couldn't grip slippery surfaces, and on completely dry tarmac, the rubber was stressed in fast or tight bends, to the point it felt like at any moment there would be an unscheduled imminent tyre change. Furthermore, the wide front seats had no bottom cushion shaping, so cornering was also limited by the ability to stay in front of the steering wheel, and not slide around the car from one side to the other. The WD litre .1 sized engine produced only around 45 horsepower, and many of these horses were usually fast asleep. This made progress more leisurely than hurried, which aided the worryingly dull braking system no end. You may have noticed the little red enamel badge affixed to the front grille. This is Linda's Institute of Advanced Motorist Car Test badge, which the car wore with pride when she was driving. She had also kept the white plastic cover, which had to be fixed whenever a non-IM driver, i.e. me, was behind the wheel. This was a good incentive for me to take the test as well, but first we had to start driving the thing. Good things about ownership were the aforementioned ride comfort, the reasonable economy achieved, and the gloriously bright front lights. A few moments back I mentioned the slipping clutch. It's still slipping, only worse when we reach this point in time. In it I'm to tell you all about our trip to Cornwall, an obvious holiday destination when the engine doesn't always wish to connect with the wheels on any kind of incline. We wanted to go on a road trip and the West Country beckoned. A bed and breakfast was booked, the fuel tank brimmed, and the A8 Atlas was referred to. The 200-odd mile road trip there was, as expected, comfortable and taken with just a single stop at a little chef. But as the western inclines increased, so did the engine revs, despite our actual progress slowing. Most hills were taken without too much thought, but one or two tested our limitations in the way one would expect of any car, if driven up a steep mountain in the Himalayas. In fairness, this amused us young adventurers more than anything else, and added to the thrill of intersecting Cornwall's narrow lanes. So much so that now, many decades later, I recall the driving experience more than the actual holiday bit, with the slipping clutch signalled by the engine revs rising but opposing tailing off of progress. As is usual, Linda actually remembers everything about the car and the holiday like it was just yesterday's, and what socks I had on. In the end, we didn't keep the car long. Not long enough for me to study and take the IM test and drive it with a red badge proudly unsheathed, and certainly not as long as my socks. Realising we needed a car, we decided to get one that we wanted rather than one that fell into ownership conveniently. So we upgraded, and you'll have to subscribe to see how much it was an upgrade. In our ownership, we never spent a penny on servicing, clutches or tyres, but did get £600 for it. Sold to the next owner as clean as the day we picked it up. We then gave Ethel the £600 as promised despite our protestations. In hindsight, we enjoyed having the car at such a critical point in our lives, but could never really love the thing. It just wasn't the sort of thing you could be passionate about. Mind you, I suspect the next owner also disliked the thing as well, because the last V5C registration document for the car was issued in May 1986, and it became untaxed from the 15th of September that year, meaning the car only lived for 9 years and 8 months. Not a fitting end for a classic, which is appropriate, because it really wasn't. I'm slipping away myself now, so thanks for watching my video, particularly if you didn't just skip to this end bit. Remember, you can leave your own thoughts on the car in the comments section below, particularly if you had or now have one yourself. And whilst there, don't forget to like and subscribe. Until next time, see you soon.